two instances that involve daycare and my kids. There's so many more, but this is two that we have time for right now, okay? One was when my husband first left. My daughter was, this was the first time he left, so I guess I didn't even have a son, and my daughter was like 3. And I put her in a daycare in a home with another woman whom I knew who had a little girl there. And she says, oh, it's a little old lady and she's just as nice as she could be. And she had references and they all checked out and I left her. But I started getting there in the afternoons and my daughter would be crying and be like rushing to see me. And I know most kids do, but my daughter is usually pretty copacetic with everybody. But then it also got to the point where I couldn't get her to hardly get ready to go during the day, in the morning to get to work. I could not get her to get out of the car. She just cried, didn't want to stay, so I knew something was wrong. And one day I went and I said, I'm not going to be bringing her back. I want to know what's going on. And she says, well, I just whip her butt and I put her in the corner all day long because she's just a very spoilt little girl and she's used to getting her way and she doesn't know how to get along with others and she's been around adults too much, so she can't hang around with the adults and she doesn't know how to hang around with the children. So I just put her in the corner all day. And I said, well, that's it, and I'm not paying you this week. If you think I'm going to pay you for her standing in the corner and you whipping on her all day, you're absolutely out of your mind. And I told my friend what happened. She pulled her kid too. And so that was a crazy time. Ended up putting her in a real regulated daycare that's by the state, that's got 1,000 kids and right in the middle of downtown, and she loved it. So, you know, they're not all bad. But first option did not work out. Another time had her and my son in a daycare, and my son, he just kind of got to where he didn't want to go, and he was little. He was about 2, and my son was very much a handful when he was little. Anybody will tell you. Nobody wanted to deal with him. Nobody knew what might set him off and him going to one of his tantrums. I mean, people walked on eggshells, and people just simply did not want to be around him. And they thought that I was some Mother Teresa saint for not putting him in a home or something, but they were crazy. That was my little boy. There was nothing wrong with him. He was pissed at the world, and these people acting the way they were acting was not helping anybody. So anyway, he went to daycare, and he went every single day. And one day I go to pick him up, and this lady comes outside, and she says, I know they haven't told you what happened, and I think you should know, and I'm probably going to lose my job because they know that I've been going to them telling them that they need to tell you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And Christopher had come home, but Christopher had a bad speech impediment. And he had said, so-and-so kicked me in the head, or so-and-so kicked me, so-and-so kicked me. And I was like, so-and-so kicked you? And they're like, yeah, so-and-so kicked me when we were taking nap. And I said, well, maybe the two of you don't need to be around each other. And I said, has so-and-so kicked you before? And he said, no. Well, I'm thinking it's a kid the whole time. It'd been a couple of weeks, no big deal. Well, then this lady comes out, and she says, I know you don't know what's going on. And she said, so-and-so kicked Chris. And I said, oh, I know that Christopher told me that you know, this girl, I knew it was a girl by the name, kicked him. And she says, and that's okay with you? And I said, well, I mean, kids will be kids. And she said, no. It's a worker. And she says, let me tell you what I know, because I think you don't have the full story. She said Christopher was laying on his mat. He needed to go pee. This worker was in a bad mood. Don't know why. She's a worker and has a bad time with kids. And Christopher needed to get up and pee. She did not want him getting up. He kept saying it. She kept saying no. He finally wet his mat, and she went over and kicked him in the head like twice. And said, one of the other daycare workers went over and was like, what are you doing and all this, and they went and told the lady, the management, and they jumped all over and cleaned it up, and of course gave Christopher sweets, and he didn't have to take a nap, and all this kind of stuff. And he was so hard to understand that they banked on that, and it worked because I didn't understand him. I mean, no one understood him at this age, unfortunately. And but yeah, a daycare worker went over and kicked him in the head because he was already aggravated. But then when he wet on himself because she wouldn't let him go and pee. So once this worker told me, I went straight in and I found the owner and I went all over the place. And she's like, well, she was fired, she was let go, she was let go. And I said, that does not even matter. So I ended up reporting them and all that good stuff. But you know, you got to be careful about your kids in daycare. I mean, we've run into a couple of situations that haven't been real cool. Do you like that? I dropped my camera. It's a good thing I was done telling the story, huh? Crazy, crazy. Anyway, I was done. Some daycares suck. Some daycares rule. There you are. Have a good night. Peace.